Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you for joining me this evening. I am Patrick Olmores, and I have my son in the studio with me this evening, and we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of stuff. How you doing, Malachi?
I'm doing pretty good, Patrick. How are you?
It's Dad.
Yeah. I know.
Thanks for coming and hanging out.
Yeah.
I thought we'd do something a little bit different this evening. It's we talk all the time, obviously.
Yeah.
And we talk a lot about life and experiences and a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So thought it would be kind of cool for us to sit down and have a conversation as a young man as yourself.
Yes.
Developing into an adult. This past year and a bit has been very challenging, right?
Yeah. It's definitely been challenging. It's had its challenges. It's had its ups and downs like every year. But this is definitely the year that I think have had one of the most big impacts on me for sure.
Yeah. There's definitely been a lot of challenges this year, and from I gotta ask, when COVID first hit.
Oh God. Oh God.
When COVID first hit, and I remember lots of conversations we had in and around what the possibilities were, and yada yada yada. But for you, when it first hit, what was some of the things that was going through your head?
It was hard. It was hard adjusting, like just from not going back to school pretty much for the rest of the year. And
I'm sure you had a lot. You were like excited about that.
That part I was more excited about, but it completely ruined the routine I had in place that I didn't even know I had in place.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big change for me that I didn't realize would have been.
Let's talk a little bit about that. So the routine that you had that you didn't realize that you had.
Yeah, I think in life there's a lot of routines that we have. Like we wake up, we go to school, we go to work, we go wherever every day, and it's just a part of our day at that point. We don't realize that we're actually in a routine, and COVID, I think, definitely showed that to a lot of people, and it brought light on, we're in a routine every single day. We're doing this and this in the same order, getting up, showering, going to school, all of that stuff, even the little things too.
Yeah, showering every day, right?
Oh my God. Really? You're gonna out me like that on live TV? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so, the routine definitely changed. From going to school every single day, all of a sudden you're now out of school. You're not going to school. You're trying to do this online learning thing, which you kind of struggled with.
Yeah, Trent, the first quadmester now, what we called it, I did fully online, as you know, and it was weird sitting, getting up and, still being in my room and then sitting in class and then having to listen to the teacher through a screen and all of that. It was weird. You don't really think about it. Before, yeah, we had Google Classroom and stuff like that, but it wasn't that vital. And now it's everything is online. It's so much different.
That was also a bit of a adjustment.
Yeah, that was
the routine changed.
Yeah, the routine changed, and I was not ready for that routine change. I have to say, I like getting up and going to school. I like getting up and being around other people. That's something that I like a lot, and not being able to do that or doing that through a screen definitely impacted me.
I know that it was a kind of a bittersweet thing, because on one hand you had the ability to sort of just chill out and be at home, but then on the other hand there was a bit of a struggle around this new routine and trying to figure out what this new routine is going to look like for you.
Yeah.
And I you know, we've had multiple
Yeah. Yeah.
multiple multiple conversations.
A multitude of conversations, yes.
Yes, a multitude of conversations, you know, in and around what the new normal, temporary normal
Yeah.
thing could kind of
Yeah.
possibly be. And it hasn't always been easy. Um, you know, from your perspective, I'll talk a little bit about my perspective, but from your perspective, you know, what were some of the challenges that you and your fellow teens were running into or going through?
My fellow teens.
Yes, your fellow teens.
Uh,
You're still a teen.
yeah. Adjusting to having to wear a mask. Like everywhere we go, if we go into a store, like we have to put a mask on. Like there's a time where I completely forgot and I had a brain fart and my brain was not functioning and I was standing there without a mask on and I was like, oh crap, like I need to wear a mask. Like that was one of the biggest things. Like you couldn't go anywhere without a mask. Getting used to that was hard. And then not being like having to social distance, not having to take breaks from seeing people for a while if
Yeah.
you wanted to go see them. Like when COVID first hit, like it was adjusting to not being around everybody that you wanted to be around and like having that ability to.
So that whole social I can't even talk right now. Whole social distancing adjustments. That's one piece of it.
Yeah.
Not being able to see your friends the way that you were seeing them before. You know, what was that like for your psyche?
It took a toll on me. Like it was going from seeing your friends every day in school, like going up to them, hugging them, seeing them, saying hi, talking with them, like them not 2 meters away from you or however the distance is, like, and then going from having to wear a mask, having to social distance, like it psychologically messed with me because I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, this isn't what I want to have to do with my friends. Like, I don't want to have to take these precautions. I don't want to have to. I just want to be able to be around my friends and have it feel like them being actual friends. And I think that narrative change too is what friends are like. Like I lost a lot of friends because of COVID. Some good, some not good, but like it shined a lot on who was my friend and who wasn't.
Now, yeah, from my perspective, you know, there was definitely, you know, a lot of concern.
Yeah.
A lot of concern around the what your mental health was going to be like. Yeah, this new routine in terms of what school was going to look like, and then trying to make sure that your motivation stayed up.
Yeah.
Why are you laughing?
Because there was a point where I just had, like, you know this, like, there's just a point where I had no motivation to do absolutely anything.
Yeah, that was definitely a challenge.
That was scary.
That was definitely a challenge to figure out how to keep you connected, figure out how to make sure that your motivation stayed reasonably good, make sure that you weren't falling off the deep end too much.
Yeah.
You know, while dealing with a little bit of the whole thing myself. You know, you know, maybe you could talk a little bit about, you know, from what was it that you needed to help you through that? Because there might be a lot of people who are listening, you know, who have kids and whatnot, and who have teens, and they're trying to figure out, okay, they just seem to lock themselves up in their room and play video games and try to stay up until 4 a.m. and it's not trying to listen. You know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Parents, one thing I have to say is that if your kid is asking for space, give them a healthy amount of space. Don't sit there and act like they don't exist, but give them enough space to where they feel comfortable. And, you know, it's about having that conversation with them. It's about defining what a good amount of space looks like for each kid, because that's different. If you have multiple kids, like, that may be different. Some of them may be younger, some of them don't want space, some of them want to be around you all the time. Others, teenagers, we like to be independent. We're growing up into young men and women. Like, we need a little bit of space so that we can slowly, whether we realize it or not, transition into that adulthood.
See, that's definitely a big struggle of trying to figure out what that balance is going to be like, because you don't want to give too much space.
Yeah.
But then, you know, when you see your child kind of withdrawn and is living in video game heaven, and, you know, the focus with school shifts,
Yeah.
you know, so many different things shift. As a parent, you're like, I want to get in there and I need to fix this because, you know, stuff's going on here that needs to be addressed.
As a parent, like, I'm sure there's that urge to try and, you know, get in and fix and you know, try to be there as much as you can be. And, you know, as teenagers, we suck at showing our appreciation. It's not that we don't appreciate you guys.
I feel so unappreciated.
But it's not that we don't appreciate you guys. It's just that as teenagers, our patience is very low, and that's something that I think all teenagers can kind of work on. But we need a little bit of our space, and we don't always need you to try and step in. Like, that's more of a younger kid thing. That's more of like a tween, like, that kind of stage. But
I know for myself, that balance, you know, like the nature of our relationship, I've always tried to give you a certain amount of autonomy.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, I have to pull the dad card.
Yeah. Yeah, I hate that.
You hate the dad card.
I hate that.
But sometimes I have to pull the dad card.
Yeah.
But I try to give you, you know, that flexibility to be able to manage certain things. And I know there were some times that we butted heads because whether it was the lack of motivation, you know, feeling sad about that things were not exactly the way they used to be, the struggle that you were going through.
Yeah.
You know, finding that balance was not always such an easy thing to do. And maybe from your perspective, you could talk a little bit about how parents can help you with that balance, because it's how much attention do I give? How much attention, you know, how much do I pull back? You know, I'm not the type of person that's going to be up your butt every second.
Yeah.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on?
I appreciate that.
You know?
I appreciate that.
But that some parents might feel like, oh my God,
That's what they kind of
what's
need.
going on with my child?
For the most part, I would say let your kids go to you.
Yeah.
And, you know, when they feel open and ready to have that conversation or eat dinner with you or sit down and watch a movie, then kind of try to bring it up and say, hey, like, you know, I am a little bit worried about you, but I wanted to wait till you felt comfortable to come around me, type thing. Because if you try to force a conversation, it's the more likely that they're not going to end up wanting to come around you. And obviously it's different for each child. Like, some child may not have a reason for you to trust, right? And that's a big thing now. But there needs to be some level of trust between you and your child. I don't think there can be no trust at all, because once there's no trust, it just makes the kid a lot more sneaky in what they do. Like, from experience, seeing how some of my friends are and stuff, like, it just makes them a lot more sneaky, and it doesn't help.
So it's just some of your friends, not you, right?
Yeah, not me. Not me.
Your friends.
Not me.
Okay.
You trust me a lot, so I don't have to hide anything.
You don't have to hide.
Yeah.
Okay. And I appreciate that, you know, and I trust you. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty I know you know where to go to get the help that you need when you need that.
Yeah, of course.
So let's talk a little bit about how did you deal with your own feelings, your own thoughts that were going on with you when you're kind of stuck at home.
Just in the midst of it.
Yeah.
For a long time, I didn't. For a long time, I just kind of let it sit. But I got to a point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I need to kind of get out there and fix whatever this is. And a lot of it had to do with talking more to you, like talking more to whoever I felt I needed to, and reaching out to people, you know. I'm a very creative person, so whether it was me going to write out my feelings, whether it was listening to certain songs to try and get my mind out of a certain state, or like go take pictures, like go see my brothers, take photo, like whatever it was, like
jumping around and screaming to music in your room.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, I would recommend that. That is very therapeutic.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that is very therapeutic.
I think you'd look at me weird if I was to be doing that around the house.
I'd kind of just be like, all right, bro. I'm going back upstairs.
Now, so last year when, last September, when school started, you had the option of staying home or going back to class. And, initially you were staying home. And I was like, sweet, we could take off. We could be, we'd be gone.
I ruined his plans.
We'd be gone for like winter.
He was upset.
I wasn't upset.
I know.
I was like, this is sweet.
Yeah.
You got homeschooling. We don't have to be in Canada. We could be on a beach somewhere. I know it's COVID, but we could be social distancing on a beach someplace that's warm.
Sorry, Dad.
And so plans were made for us to take off for a few months. And Malachi did something that I respect, as much as I ride him about the fact that he ruined our winter getaway plans.
Yeah.
Maybe you could talk a little bit about why you made the decision.
Seeing that how I did in the first quadmester, I didn't do too well because staying home, my motivation was not there. Like, I didn't want to do any of the work or stuff that I was getting. So obviously not doing that, I was failing classes, and I had just barely passed both of my classes. And I said, no, I can't do that. Cause I said to my dad, I said, you know what? If you want to go, we can go. But just know, like, I will probably end up failing my classes. So that's a decision that you can make. But
so you tried to put it on me.
But I did. I made the decision to go back into school. Regardless of the whole COVID situation, and even though it wasn't going to be the same, and I really didn't want to go back into school, I knew I had to, because that's how I was going to get the better marks that I needed to get. And doing that, I think you've seen that I have done better in school.
Oh yeah, you're going back to the classroom, even though it's so weird. It's like 2 hours here and 2 hours.
Yeah,
here.
it's from 8 a.m. till 8:40 till 12 in the morning, my first class, and then it's just an hour in the afternoon from 2 to 3.
Oh, we've got a commercial break coming up just right now, so we'll be right back.
This is Jamie Sparks, and you're listening to iLive Radio, changing the way you listen to radio.
Hey, this is Jermaine Robbins, and you're listening to iLive Radio, changing the way you listen to radio.
Yo, this is Kiana O'Quinn, and you're listening to iLive Radio, changing the way you listen to radio.
This is Lavinia J from the UK, and you're listening to iLive Radio.
Attention, all musicians, bands, associations, clubs, and organizations that represent collective styles of music across Canada. Now is the time to rebuild our collective music nation. Genres like hip-hop, R&B, jazz, soul, reggae, gospel, and more united. The Collective Music Nation is a non-profit organization committed to the development of collective music. Free memberships are available now. Collective Music Nation. One voice. Strength in unity.
This is Miss Care, keeping you connected with your iLive 5x5. Brought to you by iLive Music, sponsored by Independent Hype, and powered by The Hook Entertainment. Contribute to the conversation by using hashtag iLive5x5.
latest and greatest in soul music and more. Stay tuned to iLive Radio throughout the week.
Connect with our team at iliveradio.com or follow us at iLive Radio across social platforms.
You're listening to iLive Radio, changing the way you listen to radio. iLive Radio.
The number one hit music station.
Welcome back. I'm Patrick O'Morris, and sitting next to me is the youngest of my brood, Malachi.
Yes, your brood.
It's my brood, Malachi Morris, and we're talking about his experience over the course of the last year. You know, with school, with COVID, his mental state, and okay, so our trip to Jamaica for the winter got kiboshed because you decided that you wanted to go. You needed.
Yeah, I needed.
You needed to be back in school, and you know when we had the conversation. Yeah, I was kind of like, man, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah.
But I respected the fact that, you know, you recognized what it was that you needed to shift your mindset.
Yeah.
And yeah, we had tons of conversations about school and what was happening and what wasn't happening and what needed to be done and all that sort of stuff. But you were able to analyze the situation and say, this is what I needed.
Yeah.
And what you needed from me at that point was to, you know, support you on that. Even though I didn't want to, but so I was like,
wow, Dad.
I was like, okay,
wow,
I'm gonna support him. This is what he needs, and it shifted things for you.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Now with the missing of your friends, and then now you're back in school, but then it's not like you guys are hanging out.
Yeah.
The way that again, the routine changed again, right?
Yeah, a routine changed.
Routine throughout this whole thing. That's one of that's definitely something that continuously happens.
Yeah, that's something that'll like. I think there's some things that like when you're at home will stay the same, but like for the most part, I don't think your routine ever will like stay the same for like more than a month or two.
Balancing your mental state with your responsibilities was no joke.
Yeah.
And you had a lot of things that were on your plate that were tugging you in many different directions. But being able to find your footing, how were you able to do that? Because for me as a parent, I'm kind of like, I just want to go in there and, here you go. It's all fixed. All right, you're good.
Trust
all
me,
right.
I could see the wheels turning in your head sometimes.
And trying to find unique and different ways that I can connect with you.
Yeah.
And so that we can engage in dialogue. Again, without... Although I think that I might have some of the solutions to the challenges you're going through. But figuring out how to give you that autonomy so that you could find your own footing in the midst of that. That was definitely something, a struggle. I kind of went through some of that with your older siblings, but it was different now, especially because I'd never gone through a COVID situation with
a worldwide pandemic. Yeah.
So for me, being able to work that was one thing, but for you, what was on your side of the fence? What was going through your mind? How were you trying to balance all of this? Like you said, you started writing, get your thoughts out, but then it's a lot.
It is a lot, and for a mind like mine that is very much still developing, finding out how to deal with all this stuff that no 16-year-old really should have to like deal with. But it was a lot. I do have to say, you gave me all the utilities I needed, and you presented them to me. And if I took the opportunity, I took it, and if I didn't, I didn't. And I have to say thank you for that, because that was something that definitely helped, seeing that I had all these things in front of me that could have helped, you know. Some of them I wanted to do more of, other of them not so much. They didn't really appeal to me. But
it was frustrating. I gotta be honest.
Shut up.
I gotta be honest. It's a little frustrating.
No,
because I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah. You said here's everything. You can take everything, but I decided not to, and it's like, but you have so much. No, I understand how frustrating that could be, but I don't know. It was weird. I've never really completely thought about that, balancing everything.
Yeah. It's one of the things that it has done is it has definitely fast-tracked a lot of learning.
100% fast-tracked a lot of things.
It has definitely fast-tracked a whole lot of learnings. And we're in, that balance that we're talking about in terms of, finding your footing and all that sort of stuff. That stress, that pressure that COVID provided was almost like a pressure cooker in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Making you cook a little faster.
Yeah. It definitely did make me think about a lot of things that I did not think I was gonna think about at 16.
Yeah.
Like, at 16, kids are normally not having a care in the world, not thinking about, what the future of the world is going to look like.
Yeah.
But, having a global pandemic, it really puts you into perspective of how much each economy relies on each other, regardless of what countries don't like each other. But it really puts into perspective of, like, what's going to happen going forward. Like, is COVID going to go away? Is COVID just going to, I think it's just going to stay around. But, like, is it going to stay around? Are we just all going to get it one time and it's going to be like the flu? Like, what, or like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it really makes you think about a lot of stuff that you never think you would thought about or think about.
What were some of the fears that you were struggling with?
I don't really know. I don't think I was too worried about getting it because I know the type of person I am. Like, I don't go near people unless they come near me. And, like, that's one thing that I've always kind of been like, and that's how I've always kind of been. So I wasn't too worried about getting it. I was worried about it.
We're pretty sure we had
it. Yeah, that is, yeah.
Some of us fared better than others.
Yeah. It's okay.
Thanks.
But I was worried about a lot of my friendships.
Yeah.
I was worried about a lot of the long-term friendships that I had that, what was going to happen to them? Like, was I ever going to see them again? Like, when COVID first hit, I was like, am I ever going to see them again? Like, realistically, I was worried about that. I think that was probably the biggest thing. Other than that, I don't really think I was worried about too much.
Yeah.
Like, I knew my family was always going to be around, like, my brothers, stuff like that. I wasn't too worried about my family. It was just kind of my friends and, like, the people I had around me.
Yeah. It definitely has been quite a journey.
Yeah.
And, one of the many things that I respect about you is that you might take some time to get around reaching out for the support. He's laughing, because he knows what I'm talking about. It might take some time to get around to reaching out for the support that you need. But, this is one of the things that I'm really curious about, and I know other parents might be kind of curious about the same thing as well, right? And that is, when you get in a funk, whether it's COVID or girlfriend issues or whatever,
Yeah.
When you get into that funk, and we see you in that funk, and we know that you know what you need to do.
Yeah.
But you might take a little bit of time. If you guys are listening, I'm not watching the video right now. He's got this huge smirk on his face. You might take a little bit more time than as a parent, I think that, you know,
that is good. Yeah.
to start to use the tools
I would agree. Yeah.
that
I would
you
agree.
are at your disposal. Why?
Um,
I gotta ask. Because I'm sure there's people listening
Yeah.
like, come on, this kid,
parents, there's a 4-letter word. It's called lazy.
Really?
Yeah, we get used to how things are, and then we get lazy about it. And even though we want it to change, even though it's harder being there and we know it's harder, it's easier just not to do the work, and we get comfortable with that. And I don't know if that really makes any sense, but
Doesn't it, when you do finally get around to doing the work, it's so much more work to do.
mind of a teenager. That's all I can say. Mind of a teenager.
Malachi, you should really tidy up your room. Yeah, I'm gonna get to it then.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna get to it. And then when,
Hey,
when you do get to it,
my-
I'm like, why is there so many bags of garbage?
Okay. Okay.
But it's like the procrastination, call it that. You
Yeah.
might call it lazy. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think the
yeah, I know, but I think the better word is procrastinating.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like what's going through your head at that point in time? It's like, I know I got to do this anyways.
Okay. I'll use the example of you. You know, the other day when you were putting off that work because it was so daunting.
Oh, really? You're gonna be like that?
Yeah.
You're gonna be like
yeah.
that.
You're throwing me under the bus, so I'm throwing you under the bus.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you were putting off that work because it was so daunting and it was so like you didn't know how to go at it, even though you had the resources to. Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, but that was like for 2 days.
Yeah, and that's just work you had to do. But for us, that's a whole like mental strain, bro. that's hard on your mental. Come on now. That's same type of idea, just different things.
Just different things. Okay,
yeah, different
okay,
things.
I see. Okay.
Different things.
I see. Noted.
I'm glad.
Okay, so you went back to school, and then we had winter break, Christmas break, and then there was the whole conversation that you might not be going back to school.
Yeah.
You know, I know there was some stress around.
Yeah, I was very much stressed because seeing how my first quadmester went, I was like, no. Like this can't happen. Like as much as I kind of wanted it to, like I knew that it couldn't happen because I knew I wasn't gonna do anything about it, and I was definitely worried.
Yeah. You weren't gonna do anything about it? Really?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I know that the struggle is real.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of times as parents, we look at the things that our children might be struggling with, and we're thinking, really? Come on. But then that's, the equivalent of what it is that you're struggling with at that time. I know for myself, there's been many times I've had to remind myself that this is your current world.
Yeah.
And so although it might be something that might not seem like that much of a big deal to me, for you, this is everything.
I think that goes for everybody though. Like someone may come to you with a problem and you're like, really? Like this is so simple. But to them, that's all that they know. Like this is like the biggest thing in their life right now. And, helping a lot of like my friends with certain situations, like you said, I have to remind myself like this is kind of the biggest thing that they're going through right now. Like what can I say to them that, helped me at the time when I went through something similar or the same thing?
Now, the one of the things I want to talk about is, so with your friends, you guys talk a lot.
Yeah.
And give each other advice a lot.
Yeah.
But you become almost like an enclosed area, because most of what you know about life and most of what they know about life is kind of you
somewhat the same. Yeah.
Yeah. And so being able to really kind of get outside of that box, to get another perspective, that can be a challenge sometimes.
Yeah. I think for us, perception of things and perspective from other people goes a long way, because us all being someone around the same age, we all kind of know the same things. It's just how other people view it that changes it, and that goes a long way for us. And so when we're looking for certain things from other people, that's what we're not necessarily looking for advice or how to do this, but more what the other person may think about the situation or how they see it.
Yeah.
Versus then giving the whole advice thing.
So you're just looking for another perspective of whatever the situation is.
Yeah, like a different angle to look at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you find that parents try to either, is it about giving more perspective, or is it about giving the solutions?
How parents see it?
Yeah.
Parents see it as giving the solution.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like you said, like when you were going through it with me, like you just kind of wanted to step in and fix everything.
Yeah.
But you knew that wasn't the way to do it.
Yeah.
A lot of parents don't know that. And for the parents out there listening, like, I forgot what I was going to say.
You're talking about parents stepping in and fixing it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For the parents out there, like, it's not about just giving the advice and calling it a day.
Yeah.
It's about giving past experiences, like certain experiences that you have dealt with, like before your kid or during, like while you had them or whatever it may be. It's about giving the different angle and seeing it from like a third person, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's more what we look for, because I think for the most part we know what to do.
Yeah.
Or know how to get there, and if
I'm gonna make note of what he just said right there. Just saying.
Okay. Continuing. It's more about just the perspective, perception angle that you may see it from. One of my friends may see it from. Their parents may, like, you know.
So it's more about providing an alternative viewpoint.
Yeah.
For the child to be able to connect with. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that. So that's hard, though. I know the nature of the relationship that we've had, right, is a little weird.
Yeah, I guess people would call it weird.
People would call it weird, right?
Yeah.
Which I get.
Yeah.
Right. But that's a hard thing for a parent to do, is to look at their child and be like, okay, I need to somehow detach myself from this situation.
Yeah.
And then be able to give that advice from that perspective.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a hard thing for a parent to do.
I can understand that, because you kind of, like, raising your kid, you kind of always look at your kid from one, like, you're always kind of there.
Yeah.
But once you get into the teenage years, you have to learn how to slowly give the space in between there, right? So that they can transition well. And trying to figure that out, I can see how that would be a really hard thing for you guys.
It is a difficult place to be. It's a hard place to stand as a parent, because we see your struggle. We want to be able to manage that struggle or help you with that struggle. But the only way that we are really kind of able to do that is to try to take control. Especially the fact that, as you're growing up, we're in that space wherein it's about, I need to take control. I need to do this. As the parent, I need to do a good job. Right. And so because of that, then it's kind of like, okay, so how exactly do I, step back right now? And
I think a lot of the conversation comes from parent and kid, right? And it comes from just having that conversation of figuring out what your kid wants within reason, and what they need within reason. Like, if you're checking on them every hour, I know for a teenager that is very annoying, because
That's why I don't do that.
yeah, as a teenager, that is very annoying. And some kids may be different, some kids may like that, but like for most teenagers, like, that is very annoying, because we are okay. We don't need you to worry about us 24/7. Like, we're able to do things on our own. And like, most kids, if we need help with something, we may procrastinate on it, but we will end up coming to you guys about it. That's the thing. If you see your kid and you can kind of see that they need help, maybe bring it up. Maybe just say like, hey, like, is everything going okay? Like, did you want to talk about anything recently? And if not, just respect that. Don't try to pry it out of them. But if they open up to you, make sure that you are listening. Make sure that you are understanding, how they're feeling. And don't go straight to trying to fix the problem. Go to ask them. Ask them what they would want. Ask them if they want advice, or ask them if they want a different perspective. I would say that would be the best way to go about it, because it does change from time to time. Sometimes we're looking for advice, and sometimes we're looking for perspective.
I've spoken to a lot of parents who have teenagers.
Yeah.
And they're like, my kid won't listen to me. They don't want to talk. They, I'm trying to listen, but they're not really saying anything, or it's more like I'm annoying them or something like that, and they struggle with that interaction because their child is not really communicating all that much.
It definitely, I think there's one of multiple things that will happen that will change a kid to want to talk more. Either they will get in a situation where they need your help, and they will come to you, and it will be last minute, and they will come to you, and it's like, I need to figure this out now. And then that'll kind of open their eyes and say, okay, like, I need to start talking before it gets to this point again.
Yeah.
I think that'll happen, or either they will have a day where they will kind of just be like, I'm going to go watch a movie with my parent. I'm going to go have dinner with my parent. And, if it goes good, they'll be open to that idea again. And they'll want to come out of their shell and kind of break loose. But for the most part, it's time. I would say it's time. And yes, you guys are annoying, but just parents know that we do love you guys.
I know I'm not annoying.
Sure.
Really?
Sure. Sure. Yeah, you're not annoying, Dad. I love you so much.
You're killing me. You're killing me. If you're just joining in the conversation right now, you're listening to Patrick O'Morris and my son Malachi Morris, and we're talking about the last year plus with the impact of COVID on a lot of teenage youth. There's so many struggles that you guys have faced, and being able to find your path in the midst of all that mud, and
a lot of mud.
One thing that we didn't really talk about is seeing hearing the news and talking to your friends, and there must have been a reasonable amount of concern.
Among our friends, it was definitely because we were the only ones that we were hanging out with at the time. Yeah, we weren't too worried about each other or each other's family. We didn't really see anybody else. The only other people that we saw was our family. Yeah, and so our circle was contained that way. So we weren't too worried about that, but I remember in the beginning of quarantine, like when we would hang out, like we wouldn't go to like Tim Hortons at the Plaza, for example, because we didn't want to really be exposed to anything, because that fear was there. But gradually over time, I think as a lot of people have gotten used to it, like we kind of just it became the norm, and it became what was normal, and it was like, okay, like there's not much fear here. It's just kind of, this is how things are now.
So when you do talk to your friends now, is the concern the same now as it was then?
The concern is that we can't do anything because of lockdown. That's what it's not the fact that we're gonna get it or the fact that we're scared of other people. It's just the fact that, you know, things are shut down. If we're trying to hang out, what are we gonna do? Because as teenagers, we like to go out. We like to go to the mall. We like to
Do stuff.
do things, do activities, and with lockdown, can't do any of that, right? And you know, for a while, I was sitting down with my friends and we were just playing cards, and that was an experience because normally we don't do that, but
You have to kick it old school.
yeah, I had to kick it like you, Dad. But like we would just sit down and play cards, or we would play Cards Against Humanity, or like different things like that, you know? And it was definitely an experience because we got to see how each other friend, like how much they were on their phone, right? And like one of our friends, like she was always on her phone, and we were like, bro, like we're hanging out, like let's just hang out, like if we all end up on our phones, and we all end up on our phones, but none of us are on our phones now, so let's not do that, right? And it was kind of just funny.
Did aside from the phones thing, like whether it's finding alternative ways of connecting to one another, was there any benefit to that? Or I should say, you know, what was some of the findings that you found?
You know, I think I'm not really too sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm not really too sure. Like, there was definitely times where we all kind of sat down and we kind of just let out everything that we were going through one by one and tried to help each other. And, like, face to face instead of on the phone, which is what we would normally do. Like, we talked about a lot, and we may have talked about politics one night, which in a group of 16 and 17-year-olds, like, when does that ever happen, right?
Yeah.
Like, we may have talked about politics one night. We may have talked about, you know, whatever was happening in the U.S., like, just any topic of conversation that we would find, we would try to talk about it in some way. And that's one thing that didn't normally happen before, because before it was a lot of our conversations were around school, you know, projects we had coming up and stuff like that. But now that school is not really like that anymore, we don't normally talk about school anymore.
Okay, I gotcha. Now, so we've got only a few minutes left, and we were supposed to be talking about music.
Yeah.
But we kind of got sidetracked with all this other stuff. But how and, you know, this is a radio station, and so I guess the question is what was your musical journey?
Musical journey. Me and my musical journey. My music library has opened up, like, completely, like, stuff I never thought I would be into. Like, it's just, I'm there now, and it's so much different. Like, I went to really only listening to rap, to listening to a lot more R&B, a lot more, like, neo soul stuff, as you know, like, I asked you a couple questions about that. Started listening to rock, punk metal stuff, like, screamo stuff, like, emo rap, old school stuff, like Wu-Tang Clan, Mobb Deep, people like that, Ice Cube. And it's just music is such a beautiful thing to me.
Yeah.
Because there's so much music and there's so many different kinds of it, and you can really, like, immerse yourself in it and kind of just experience it. And it's when you hear a song for the first time, you know, it's it's a crazy experience to me because those certain sounds and that certain arrangement is the first time that you're ever hearing that. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like, I think about it like, what has brought me here and all the life decisions that I've made to listen to this one song.
It's interesting. Never thought about it that particular way. But yeah, it's I know that you've been the crazy stuff I hear from your room sometimes.
Yeah.
And then there's some stuff I'm like, how did he find this?
Yeah.
And it's not about from what I could see, whether I'm walking by and you're listening to K-pop or
it's not K-pop.
It's not K-pop.
K-pop. We don't do K-pop here.
There is anime music.
No,
or
it's
what is
it's
it?
Japanese. It's like Japanese neo-pop.
Japanese neopop.
Like,
the Japanese soul stuff's cool.
Yeah.
Japanese,
I do.
Japanese neopop. It's like anime music.
Sure. it has its similarities, yes.
Okay.
But
The truth be told, some of it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting how, because of the fact that so much music is readily available. It's not like in my day you had to go and buy music,
buy
or you
a
had
CD,
to go and
yeah.
wait till a particular song was coming on the radio. You could pull out your
you record it.
But you pull out your recorder and you record the song so you could have it. It's so obviously it's so different now. Technology has made it so that so many different music.
Yeah.
And, one of the cool things about you that I talked about is the fact that you actually explore music, different genres, different styles. I could be walking by and you're playing Bach, in your room, and doing whatever it is you're doing. Or another time I'll come by and it'd be some reggae, some old school stuff, or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a huge mix of that, so you get that musical diversity.
Yeah.
But a lot of kids your age just stick to.
I hate it. Like being a person who is so like not to toot my own horn, but like immersed in music, and then seeing kids my age. It's like you don't know you're missing so much. Like there's so much good music out there that you could be listening to that stimulate different parts of your brain, that stimulate different parts of your body. Like it's a full body experience with music. And it's like, why listen to only like one artist or one genre when you could listen to so much? And it really changes the way you think too, and it opens up your mind to so many different possibilities that you never really saw before.
He's learning. He's getting there.
Oh my God. I'm gonna punch you.
There's the violence again. You're teasing this violence thing. I don't know. We've got to talk about that offline.
Yeah.
So we only got a couple minutes left. So in this last couple of minutes, I want you to kind of summarize for parents who might be listening, who have kids, who are struggling with with this whole COVID thing, or just being a teen. It's hard being a teen.
Yeah.
What should or how should that parent really approach their child?
Parents, if you haven't heard me say it before, give your kid a healthy amount of space. And how you find that space is you talk to them. Whether they come to you and start the conversation first, or you try to go to them. I would suggest waiting until they come to you. And, if they seem like they're in a good mood, maybe bring up the conversation. Or maybe they'll bring up the conversation themselves. But give them a healthy amount of space. Make sure that one big thing for me is I know he's always there whenever I need him. If I need something, I can call him whatever time of the night it is. If I know he's always in my corner. That's a big thing for us teens, is knowing that you're there. Oh my God. and just being honest a little bit, trying to get us to eat better if we don't eat. As annoying as it is, we do appreciate it, and it shows that you care, and it shows that okay, this person really does kind of care about me.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna keep that. You know, there's a bunch of things you said today that has been recorded.
Okay.
It's been recorded. There's evidence of this.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That
I have no recollection of the
I'll have
past
to
hour.
Rewind and pull up at some point.
It was all a dream, as Biggie once said.
Oh wow, guy is quoting Biggie on me right now. It's definitely been fun.
For sure.
You know, the conversation, and I'm hoping that those who are online who've been on this little journey with us for the last hour has learned a few things. Be able to have some conversations with their teens or preteens. You guys are going through stuff right now.
Yes, parents.
I want to thank you, and I want to thank everybody who's been a part of this journey for us.
For sure.
You know, it's COVID has definitely impacted so many different things of our lives, and a lot of times we as adults we get lost in the madness ourselves. You know, trying to deal with our own madness, and then trying to figure out how we're going to make ends meet for our children who are relying on us. And then on top of that, you know, we see our children with their own struggles, and the innate response is to try to get in there and fix it. But you know, for us, what we've found that's worked is definitely a relationship wherein there's a little bit of balance in there.
Yeah.
And hopefully you can take a little bit away from that. Definitely want to thank you guys for hanging out with us. This has been Patrick O. Morris, and this is my son Malachi Morris. And up next is going to be Donna Savage with Savage Desires. And thank you guys. Have a great evening.
Hello there, this is Benjamin Clementine and listen